Are you a parent navigating the complexities of co-parenting, family court, or even domestic violence? If you are looking for ways to help protect your children and build a strong and supportive community around you, then look no further. Gray Minds Think Alike is your go-to resource for everything related to the complexities of family life. Join us as we dive into thoughtful conversations with experts and explore practical tips and strategies for tackling the challenges of parenthood in the throes of adversity so that no parent feels alone and every child's safety is protected. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gray Minds Think Alike, where we dive deep into the conversations that matter most with experts who enlighten, inspire, and empower. Today, we are joined by someone whose work lives at the intersection of shadow, soul, and deep healing. Dr. Lisa Fox is the founder of Shadow and Soul, where she helps individuals navigate the challenging terrain of trauma, betrayal, and emotional healing. With a doctorate in transformative studies and decades of experience in personal healing, she helps those affected by coercive control, emotional suppression, and broken trust reconnect with their voice, their clarity, and truth. Whether you're in the midst of unraveling relationships, questioning your own patterns, or simply just seeking more inner alignment, this conversation will resonate with you. So thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us today. It's so nice to finally meet in person.
Thank you for having me. It's really a pleasure and a privilege, Allie.
Absolutely. I'm glad we were able to connect. So I would love to start with you just sharing a bit about your journey, who you are, how you got into this, and we'll go from there.
You know, this is actually my third career. If anybody had ever told me that I would have 3 careers, you just can't comprehend that. Back when I started practicing, what you did for your life is what you did for your life. And I actually have a doctorate in diabetic limb salvage and wound treatment.
Wow.
So I'm a retired surgeon.
Wow.
I did that. Yeah, I did that for 10 years. I loved it. Was probably one of 3 in the Southwest that did what I did. And it really came down to advocacy. Yes, I loved the surgery. Yes, it was really rewarding helping diabetic patients, and not only diabetic patients, but that was the majority. I would see motorcycle accident victims and the such. And that's really where my wheelhouse was, speaking and teaching to the doctors that saw them on a regular basis. And going over safety protocols with them. At that time, I was having my 3rd child, and it turned out that my 3rd child was born with the cord around his neck, and he was blue and deprived of oxygen. And we don't know if it was that or he got popped down a flight of stairs, roughhousing with one of his brothers. And so we're not really sure what caused it, but he had a central auditory processing disorder and didn't understand the spoken word. So it was a lot of intensive therapy for him. And my 2nd child, who was 5 at the time, he also had a learning challenge with an oral motor dysfunction. And there was only one of me that could take care of what needed to be taken care of at home. My 4th was born. And I just thought, I can't give all 4 of my children what they need with the special needs of the 2 in the middle. And so that became a very easy decision for me, and I closed my practice. I needed it home. And so for the next 15 years, that's what I did. And I am really proud to say that those 2 middle, the one with the oral motor dysfunction is now an actor, a director, a playwright in Manhattan, and is very successful at what he does. And the 3rd, that was born with the central auditory processing issue, he designs and builds sets all over the world. He got a great scholarship at USC and graduated with a degree in technical direction. And so when people ask me, do you regret
giving it up?
Retiring from surgery? I'm like, no, not at all. Never. It's just not anything I think about.
Definitely more fulfilling to have family.
Yes. And to be able to know that the effort and the sacrifice that was put in for their well-being, it was time well spent. It's nothing that I would ever regret, to watch them flourish and have beautiful lives. And all 4 of my kids are beautiful human beings. And it was only because I quit practicing surgery that I was able to give the bookends what they needed also to thrive and to be constructive, lovely individuals who really touch this world with their beauty and their talent. Yeah. And so then, through that, I was volunteering at a big mega church. I was in women's ministries. I was raising up women leadership, helping them find their voice, helping them figure out what it was they were passionate about. And we just had a beautiful program. And somewhere in there, what I didn't expect was that I would have women coming to me to try to figure out what was wrong with them, to try to figure out why they were having problems in their marriage, to try to figure out why their husbands weren't happy with them, to try to figure out what they needed to fix to have a good marriage. And through that, I ended up walking with quite a few women that were in very destructive, toxic marriages. I mean, when you have a woman tell me who has two little ones under the age of 5, and she's chosen to stay home with the kids, and she confides in me that her husband has cameras all over the house. And the reason he has them is because he's explicitly told her, I'm monitoring you because I need to see if it's really of value to have you stay home with our 2 children, and if you're actually
Oh
benefiting
my
them,
goodness.
or if you should just go back to work and we should hire a nanny that would do a better job. I mean, that is just like the tip of the iceberg. And I can remember walking through all of that and knowing we are all born for such a time as this, that I could have been born at any time in history, but I was born right now. And there's a specific work that I was created to do. And that in that, there are struggles and trials that we have to go through to be prepared for that challenge and for that life work. And when I was working with those women, I can remember saying, please do not let this be my marriage. Do not let this be my marriage, because I know what you do. So please. And unfortunately, it ended up being my marriage in spades. I mean, I was married for 15
Murphy's Law, right?
years. Isn't it Murphy's Law? And, and a lot of people believe in manifesting, but I'm like, I did not manifest that.
Yeah. Nobody manifests their tragedies. That's for sure.
Right, exactly. And so I honestly, for the first 15 years of my marriage, I thought I was going crazy. Like, I did not know what was happening, but I did find myself resonating with what these women were going through. Like, I'm doing what I do because I'm trying to figure out how to be a better wife, because I'm trying to figure out how to fix my marriage, because I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with me, that I'm having challenges. And it turned out that my ex did something right in front of me that broke me. And it broke me in ways that I never could have imagined. And they sent us to one of the names that everybody knows in marriage counseling that writes the books. And we went in and I let them know what happened. And what came back was a year and a half of discussing communication styles. And through that, I was like, I am walking out of these therapy sessions and I feel like I'm going crazy still. Dug my heels in, did some research, really grateful for my medical and surgical background and my BA in psychology, because I think I was able to access and understand a lot of information and
Sure.
really do a deep dive. That when that therapist, after a year and a half, my ex walked in with a poster board with 26 band-aids on it and a presentation college folder with a document labeled the husband monologues.
What?
No, yes, yes.
Can you explain that?
He sees himself as a very creative individual.
Okay.
And so this was his way of trying to slide something over to the therapist in a tongue-in-cheek way, to say, last week, Lisa said, we've been here for a year and a half discussing communication and we don't have a communication issue. And I had just gotten enough grounding under me that I had said to this therapist, listen, you've labeled me as a vacillator. I'm not a vacillator. When an individual does things that hurt you and harm you and are devastating, it is a normal human reaction to pull away for protection.
Sure.
As a loving wife, when it seems that there has been amends and apology and repentance, then yes, I'm leaning into that because I do want a marriage that is healthy and restored. So this whole idea, this, you believe that I'm a push puller, I am not a push puller. I am a healthy woman that is doing appropriate behavior based
Right.
on the actions being presented to me.
Right. If you didn't, there'd be something wrong with you.
Exactly. But to label a woman who is being traumatized and betrayed and manipulated and deceived as a vacillator is therapeutic abuse, quite frankly. And I just looked at him. I said, and you've labeled him as a pleaser. He's not a pleaser, he's a liar. And he lies because he likes to lie. He lies because he wants to do what he wants to do. And he doesn't want to be accountable to anybody. This isn't an issue of being concerned about how I might take something he's doing. He's overtly doing destructive things and harming me. So I would like to get back on track next week, and I'd like to start talking about what is actually going on in our marriage, and I'd like to rip off the Band-Aid. Hence the next week, my ex bringing in a poster board with 26 Band-Aids, which he looked at the therapist and said, no, I haven't given a copy of this to my bride. I thought that it could just be something between you and I, the therapist and him. And every week we could rip off a Band-Aid, and then we could go to that page in the presentation folder that I gave you, and we could read the details of what she's doing that she really needs help to fix for us to have a good marriage.
Okay. So he was placing all the blame on you.
Yes, yes. And it was at that point that my therapist saw him accurately because he had snowed my therapist. They're very good, very charming, very believable. And I can remember the therapist looking at me, but talking to him and saying, you have a lot of narcissistic tendencies. And if you looked at my ex and his behavior, what? Like I looked at him like he had a third eye in the middle of his forehead. But it took me truly 10 minutes on a Google search when I went home, because when I graduated, we weren't even talking about cluster B personality disorders. And the only thing we were really talking about was overt narcissism. And we were just told that it was such a zebra that you weren't going to see it. So don't worry about it. Right? It took me all of 10 minutes to do a search and go, oh, I'm in a lot of trouble and my kids are in a lot of trouble. And that started my deep dive. And that started my laying down healthy boundaries, because I thought if I start implementing healthy boundaries, could there be change? And I invested in that for 3 or 4 years. And as I got stronger and I started speaking and using my voice, my ex escalated to physical assault and battery. And that's when I knew that I needed to prepare to get out. And then I just did a deep dive to start preparing to get my family out safely.
Right.
And in
Were your
doing
kids
that,
young at the time?
my kids at that time were 9, 12, 15, and then my oldest was in college
Okay.
when I actually figured out what was going on and realized it. The actual assault and battery didn't occur till 4 years later, because he realized that I was at a place that he couldn't control me. And that's how it works with most abusers and coercive controllers. When you talk to a woman and you say, are you being abused? Honestly, most of us think, and society tells us still, and a lot of the laws in this country and around the world still tell us that unless he hit you, it's not abuse, right? We're still coming to a place where, coercive control just became a criminal offense in Queensland. I think it's the first country in the world to actually criminalize coercive
Well, they say
control.
it's the most insidious type, right? I mean, look, I lost my son.
You did,
Coercive control.
because nobody saw it. Nobody saw it. And you, at that time, you couldn't even imagine that his father would take it to that level just to destroy you, to
I
take
mean,
that
nobody could
guilt.
imagine that. I mean,
Nobody.
I mean, until that's your brain pattern, it's not something that anyone thinks about
No. And when I
until it
tell,
is.
until it is, and when I tell people, you will never, if you do not know coercive control, you will never see it. But once you see it, you will never unsee it. It is one of those things. It's very, part of control is gaslighting,
Yep,
right? We're bringing everybody to the table so that we're all working from the same definition
sure.
and the same ability to help those who are being affected by gaslighting. So that is how I actually became a betrayal, trauma, and abuse recovery coach that specializes in coercive control and entitlement. And usually women come to me because initially they have been sexually betrayed and they have found out about infidelity because they don't know they're being abused. They don't know that the sexual acting out is part of the abuse. And so that is how I became and do what I do now, which again is all about advocacy. Surgery was about advocacy. Women's leadership was about advocacy. Betrayal, trauma, abuse recovery, it's about advocacy. And now it's about advocating mostly for women to help them either find their voice or reclaim their voice. Because Allie, a lot of us, we are trauma squared.
Right.
Do you know what trauma squared is?
No.
Okay. Trauma squared is where you have trauma in your childhood. You've had abusive behaviors put upon you and experienced abuse in your childhood, and you grow up and that's what you know.
Right.
And
It's
so
normalized.
it is normalized, and you are usually a very strong and independent and intelligent and compassionate and loving individual. And that's why you get targeted, because an individual that is looking for someone like you, they know that you're going to carry the relationship and that you're going to do whatever needs to be done to make the relationship work. And you are a beautiful mirror and image to the world for him.
Right.
Yeah.
So, how do you define betrayal in an intimate relationship?
For me, betrayal is a very broad category. For me, there are experts in the field that come from a sexual addiction perspective,
Okay.
and that because of the sexual addiction, the porn, the masturbation, the prostitutes, the having sex with male and female individuals, hooking up, that the behaviors that lie below that iceberg, the deception, the lying, the manipulation, the hiding, that those are wrought out of the addiction. Can I say I do believe there are a small percentage of individuals that have had a childhood trauma, that this is how they soothe and cope. But my training informs me, due to the patriarchy and misogyny that is embedded in our culture and society worldwide, that there are a lot of individuals that walk through this life with a belief that they are entitled.
Right. Of course.
They are entitled and they have the right to. A right
Narcissist.
to what? Right. I mean, and it's not even narcissism. It is, we have a lot of people that they just believe because of who they are entitled to do what they want to do when they want to do it, and they don't need
Sure.
to answer it to anybody. And
Right.
that leads to the power and control. So when we're talking about betrayal, betrayal to me is anything that is being done to you or against you that you have no knowledge or informed consent.
Right. So it's not just someone cheating on the other.
Absolutely not. It involves financial abuse, using the finances to control you, leaving you with very little money in your account, not allowing you to have your own account.
Right. So that's like coercive control. So would you say they go hand in hand?
Yes, they do. I believe they do.
So
Absolutely.
obviously if in a relationship where coercive control is prevalent, you are being betrayed.
Yes, you are.
In my case, I wasn't together with Grayson's father. It
Mm-hmm.
was a betrayal of a different type of relationship, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess still betrayal. Where do you start with someone who feels shattered by betrayal of some sort?
Listening. My first goal is for that woman to understand that I believe her. I know she has told her experience to multiple individuals before she has found me. And people look at her and actually believe that there is no way that what she is sharing with them could actually be happening. She must be exaggerating. It's just incomprehensible to them. And the reason it's incomprehensible is for the same reason we didn't see it. Like, most human beings in this world are kind, loving, compassionate human beings. And when you have that mindset, it's confirmation bias is what it is, right? When somebody comes to you and says, the person that I married that is to love and protect me is very cruel and abusive and is doing these extreme things to me, our confirmation bias and what we usually see in the world causes us to have a non-belief of what that person is expressing. And I honor all relationships.
Sure.
Cisgender, homosexual, lesbian, gay, queer. Because honestly, to be very honest, those relationships have a much higher incidence of abuse than cisgender couples.
Interesting.
And for me, abuse is abuse.
Yep.
And every individual in this world was created in the image of God. And we are called to love. And it is very discouraging to me in this world that people that were called to love are a lot of the first people to judge. And I just
Yeah.
know that that's not how we are to move forward. So when I'm speaking about women, please don't misunderstand me. I'm only speaking and using the word women because that's who I deal with mostly. That is the majority of my practice. So when they come to me, it's listening, it's affirming them, it's letting them know, I believe you. I believe everything you're telling me. And then the next step is safety because they're in a place of survival. They've been a place of survival for a very long time. And it's because coercive control is so insidious and because a person doesn't need to lay their hands on you to cause you fear. Nobody understands that the reason that we are in marriages of 25, 35, 45 years before we actually understand what's happening to us
Right.
is because it's like it's the frog in the water,
Right.
right? And we adjust and we normalize and we take on more responsibility for the relationship. And so by the time women get to me, if they had a voice, if they're not trauma squared and they
Right.
had a voice, they've lost it because you get to a place where it's easier to go along to get along because when you stood up for yourself at the beginning, which all of us did in one way or another, using our voice or defending ourselves, it never went well.
Right.
And it never turned out well. And we ended up in a conversation of a circular conversation, a conversation of word salad, or ending up needing to comply with any kind of demand. Usually it's sexual in nature. And we just got to a point where we said, I'm not going to be heard. I don't have a voice. And I'm just going to do what he wants to do to get it done and over with so we can just get it done and over with. Because
Right.
there's no point in fighting. There's no point in standing for myself. So women that get to me, they've lost their voice if they had it. When I give them a feelings list, Allie, they are shocked that there are more than 5 feelings. They're
Yes.
like, there are all these feelings? Yes, there's all these feelings.
Sure.
Which they honestly never had the autonomy to feel
Right.
because their whole life was really managing chaos
Right.
and making peace for others at their own expense, which actually, in a strange sort of toxic way, brought peace for themselves, right?
Sure.
And mitigating and buffering for their children.
Right.
That's what we did.
Right.
So when I give them the needs list, they don't know what their needs are because they haven't been able to have them.
Right.
So that's where we start.
So,
And if there's physical assault and battery involved, we start with the safety plan.
right. Of course. I mean, and there usually is, but what practices or questions help people see the truth of a harmful dynamic that they've normalized? How do they make the distinction?
Oof. I will tell you, to watch that switch flip for a woman
Right.
in the beginning of their recovery is one of the most rewarding experiences for me. Because when that switch flips, I know they're going to survive and they're going to thrive. We do
Once
have
they take
women
off the blinders, I suppose.
and they see very clearly, right? And how I do that is we spend a lot of time talking about incidents. So I will ask them, give me a good example of an incident that you're experiencing that you're confused about. And usually they'll give me an incident and it is coercive control and it's gaslighting. And what they focus on when they share that experience with me is their fault in it, how they reacted, how they yelled, how they hit them back. And they are looking because we believe that if we can fix it, then it can be made better. When I walk through that process and take it and bring it down to each step and action that their partner took that caused that reaction from them and can point out what form of gaslighting was used against them, that's when they can start putting the
Putting it
pieces together. And that's the psychoeducation. I don't do trainings and workshops and cohorts on gaslighting. I do a 12-week series on it,
Oh,
which
wow.
really
Okay.
trains you on what kind of gaslighter is your partner. And usually they're an equal opportunity gaslighter when it comes down to it, right?
Right, right.
And then I go through here are the ways. These are the forms of gaslighting. And this is your toolbox on how you deal with the gaslighting. So when they get to a place, I will ask them, I'd like you to participate and enroll in the gaslighting workshop, the gaslighting cohort.
Okay. So
When
it's
you
possible for someone to rebuild trust, not just with their partner, but with themselves, and not necessarily always have to leave a relationship.
no,
Correct?
no, truth, because yes. And the thing is, though, trust comes first when you beginning to trust yourself again. Because in these relationships, what happens is there comes a point where a lot of us are saying, well, why did you do that? Why are you flirting with her? Why is there no money in the account? Where did your bonus go? And our gaslighter is saying, no, what are you talking about? I wasn't flirting with her. What bonus? I didn't get a bonus. And so there comes a place where because we believe that this person we are with is meant to love and protect us, we have to come to where our gut knows something's off. And all of us, once we enter the healing process and we can start seeing things clearly, can definitively look back at defining moments and say, that's where I said, I'm going to start betraying myself because I either have to trust my gut and believe that he's not moving forward in my best interest, which we can't fathom back then when it starts happening, or we decide that it's us, that we're broken, we're not seeing things clearly, and we disconnect our brain from our gut. And that starts the process of cognitive dissonance
Right.
because
Learning to trust your gut is hard as well.
it is very hard. And that is where we do a lot of work. I do a lot of work letting a woman know or a man know your gut didn't abandon you. You just have to start listening again. Because as a coach, which is different than therapy, which is why I chose coaching, is my inherent belief is that my client knows themselves best. They don't know they do, so I hold that for them, but they know themselves best. I don't look at an individual as not being whole. Have you been broken? Have you been devastated? Have you been harmed? Do you feel like you're a shell of yourself right now? Absolutely. But there's not a deficit in you. And therapy functions from a place of there is something wrong with you.
Right.
And
And
that's
they can
not,
go hand in hand. So I will
they
say
do.
that.
They do. Absolutely. They absolutely do.
So, what does it mean to find your inner voice?
What does it mean to find your inner voice? That's a great question. When you find your inner voice, initially, it's very fun because when I have women that are listening to their gut and listening to their inner voice, we have more of those neurons in our gut than we do our brain. So a lot of us were raised on those princess fairy tales with the butterflies, and we were led to believe as women that meant that this was love at first sight. This is I'm feeling the butterflies, when actually that feeling is your warning system. We are not trained that is your warning system that something is wrong, right? So when we're talking about our inner voice, we're talking about the innate way we were created, that our gut will sense and feel something far before it becomes a conscious thought to us. And because we were taught that we weren't to trust our feelings, that we weren't to trust our gut, and yet that is how we were created. And we are all definitively to trust our gut, because our gut is our early warning system. That is our inner voice. And we've just learned to override it. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely scary, especially if maybe your gut once steered you in the wrong direction. Trying to get that back may be
Mhm.
difficult as well.
And it is. Well, when I explain to women, and most of us will say, oh, yeah, I definitely had those butterflies. Nobody taught it. And still today, it's not being taught. That's not a good sign. That is your inner voice, your warning system telling you, warning, warning, Mr. Roger, run, run. But because we're trained to believe that I'm feeling all the good feels, those are not good feels. We were just trained to believe they were good feels, right? So when I have a woman who's going through something and I hear from her and she says, my gut just failed me. My gut just failed me today. My intuition just failed me today. And I go, well, what happened? And she explains to me what happened, and she fully listened to her gut. She made great, wise, discerning decisions. And I'm all, no, you didn't. You didn't. Your gut didn't fail you. You had this decision to make. These are the facts you had. And you didn't have all of them.
You did what you needed to do.
And this is the discerning choice you made. Yeah, you listened to your gut. They don't even realize initially that they're actually listening to their gut because it's so foreign to them. Right? But that's how that gets strengthened, because that woman can then identify that feeling because she doesn't know what it is. Yeah.
So your practice is called Shadow and Soul. What does shadow and soul mean? Is that shadow work?
It's not shadow work. For
Okay.
me, when we're talking about shadows, hide and conceal the truth and reality behind what the shadow is covering, right? And for me, our soul is our essence. It's our mind, our body, our soul, our spirit. That is what we're meant to resonate with. So for me, the branding of my business, my name comes directly from the fact that I want to bring you from the shadows. I want to help you see clearly. I want to bring clarity to your spirit, your mind, your body, and soul so that you can move forward and reclaim your voice, find and establish and know with a grounded strength what your values and beliefs are so that you can start making informed choices that are best for yourself.
Now, who would reach out to a coach of this type of, what would be the criteria? Was it someone who has gone to other places and is still, like you said, they've already spoken to so many different types of people and they're still
Yes.
confused?
Some of us are really lucky, right? I was very blessed and very lucky that I did not have to once it was established what was going on, I was referred to the right person. Most of us end up in marriage counseling for years. We are faced with the fact that those marriage therapists aren't equipped at all with regular marriage counseling rather than to even recognize where there's abuse within the relationship and a power and control differential. So a lot of these women have gone years being told that they were the problem because their partners show up looking shiny and bright
Right.
and well grounded because we're so reactive, right? Because we are literally wondering what the heck is going on. And it doesn't matter what we do, how we do it, when we do it, if we do it. It's either that wasn't the way I needed it done. That was pretty good. But if you had just done this, then it would have been really great for me. I mean, we are constantly being told we are falling short of the mark and we need to do more. And I will say sorrowfully, women are going 5, 10, 15 years round and round in circles in an abusive relationship with a coercive controller. And they are just getting more devastated, more traumatized. Their partners are realizing that they are now usurping the therapeutic talk
Right.
to abuse them further. So by the time a woman gets to me, she probably has been in the spin cycle and the abuse vortex for years,
Right.
unfortunately. Yeah.
So
Very
maybe the goal
rarely.
is to actually seek help from a coach in the beginning process
You got it.
and
You
maybe
got
hand
it.
in hand with a therapist to sort of work together.
Absolutely. And I work with therapists together as a partnership with clients. And there are clients that when I meet with them initially, it's for me to discern, are we a good fit for each other? I know you're trauma bonded. We're all trauma bonded. But are you at a place where you are able to do the work and move forward? And there are times that I will have to tell a client, I'm not abandoning you. I am here, but you need more intensive care right now. And I think that you may need some psychopharmaceutical help
Help, right?
to balance yourself so that you can start working well with your psychotherapist and let's get some traction and grounding underneath you. And I'm here. And
Makes
then
sense.
they will come back to me. Or sometimes their therapist will say, You can work with both of us at the same time. And then there are times that I will start working with someone and they seem that they're in a good place, but they are so trauma bonded that we just end up having circular conversations. And when there's no traction and there's no forward movement, that's when I will say, you know what? Let's work together to find you a psychotherapist, because I believe that we need to do a little work there before you're ready to work with me.
Sure. There's definitely dual disorders that can happen at the same time, and treating them together is really, they say, even, in rehabs, you're not just fighting addiction, you're also probably fighting other mental health issues, and dealing with it both hand in hand is probably the best way.
I mean, I personally, Allie, I was working with my therapist and we got to a place where she said, I had expressed something to her. I had woken up one morning and I was literally staring at my closet wall and talking, is this the day I'm not going to be able to speak or move? Is this the day that I have a nervous breakdown? And every day
Been
I
there.
got every day I got up, I just said, thank you for creating me with a perseverant spirit. And when I finally shared that with my therapist, she said, I think you need some psychotherapeutic support. And when I went to that psychotherapist, top of her field, wonderful woman, we get through everything that's going on. At the very end, she says to me, I don't like working with women like you.
Sorry.
I'm like, what? What? She said, well, this is the problem. You are a girl that the glass is always half full. And you are the most challenging to work with because you believe that you can handle this with self-care on your own. And I'm letting you know right now, I am this far away from telling you that I need to admit you, because you are in a massive depression and you are suffering from chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. And I laughed at her. I laugh because I'm like, no, I'm not. And hence why I don't like working with women like you. And I said, okay, I trust my therapist that referred me to you. I will do what you say. I will do everything you say. And I did. I did need the medical support because I was in a massive depression and I didn't even know it.
Right. Well,
I
I
didn't
think a
know it.
lot of people would probably not be able to recognize they've never had it before or seen it before firsthand. So now I have a really important question.
Okay.
What does real healing look like on the other side of betrayal?
Real healing, transformation, post
Yes.
traumatic growth. Those are all those words, those buzzwords, right? What that looks like is when something comes to you and you are at a place where you're able to remain grounded and present and in your body. Understand that whatever was said or done is causing you confusion, and being able to step back and say, that caused me confusion. Why did that cause me confusion? To be able to assess that for yourself and go, that's because what just came at me or what was just done to me was not healthy. And being able to be at a place where you clearly understand what your non-negotiables are
Recognize them.
and recognize them, absolutely, and then make a decision based on those values and beliefs and your non-negotiables as to what you will accept and will not accept, and having the commitment that you will never betray yourself again.
And that's healing
That it's
and
healing
growth,
and growth. And that does not mean perfection,
right? And it's
right?
ongoing, I will say.
This is what I tell women. Yes, we move from safety and survival to stability to strength. And when you're consistently living your life out of a place of strength, that's when you know that you are healing, you have grown, your mind has transformed, and you see things clearly that you won't accept again because they just don't resonate with you anymore. Right. And when we get to that place, we're really great at implementing all of those new value systems and belief systems in almost every relationship. The place that it becomes the stickiest, where we have more time that needs to be invested, is usually with our family of origin. It's really hard. It's really hard. So when you get to a place where you're able to live out and break that generational cycle within your family of origin, again, you can rest in the strength that you've done the deep, hard, brutal work. And then there are some places where until you actually choose, if you do or when you do, to be engaged in another intimate relationship, there are some things that cannot be healed until you enter into that relationship. Because doesn't matter how healed you are, doesn't matter how healthy you are, doesn't matter how healthy your partner is, there will be triggers.
Sure. Yeah.
And so when that happens, a lot of my clients will say, I feel like I'm right back where I started from.
Right. But they noticed it and they recognized it, which is the difference.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
So that's what will help them move on and heal and
make the choice.
Right.
Because once you come to that place, when you come to the place where you've connected your brain and your gut again, your body says, oh my gosh, thank you. You're listening to me, right? The body keeps score. Best book ever. Like, our body holds all of that pain. And a lot of us deal with a lot of autoimmune issues, chronic issues, pain issues. We get cancer. And it's because our brain didn't know it was happening to us, but our body did. And our body's screaming at us.
I talk about mind body all the time and the connection.
Yeah. I mean, it's unavoidable. And so when and most of us, if not all of us, we have some sort of those issues. So when I tell my clients, listen, I do not want you to be alarmed now that you are reconnecting, that your symptoms are going to get worse before they get better. It's almost that thing of that, the squeaky wheel, right? Oh my gosh, you're now listening to me. Now that you're listening to me, you need to pay attention, and I'm not going to let you ignore me anymore. And so we have to spend a lot of time on our physical, emotional, and psychological health and how they all meld together for our physical and psychological well-being.
Yeah,
right?
1000%. I mean, after my son died, I had just the weirdest ailments that just pop up every day. It's like my body knew something else was going on. So it's actually quite amazing how all that works. And that's why we talk to people like you that can help us channel the growth, the healing, the positivity, so our mind and body can work together in harmony.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of this with our listeners. It's been enlightening, to say the least.
My privilege. It's really my privilege, Allie.
Well, I'm sure I'll get a lot of questions for you, and I will put your contact info and website info into our show notes. So, yeah.
Yeah, they can connect with me when you go on the website.
Okay.
There's right there at the top right corner, schedule your complimentary consult. I offer every client a complimentary consult.
Do you virtual if they're not in your state?
I do I work internationally.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I do everything via virtual.
Okay, perfect.
So, and I have clients in Italy, Switzerland, New Zealand, Australia, because when they need you, they find you. And I know there were a lot of horrible things about COVID, but us in the helping professions being able to go virtual,
right?
I think it has been a huge, huge asset to our field, because now you can find.
You can get help wherever you are, whenever you're, at any time.
Right?
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So yes, all of my sessions are virtual. They're all via Zoom.
Okay, great. And
what my 30-minute session is for is because I want to make sure I'm the best fit for you.
Right.
If I'm not the best fit, coaching's an investment. It's an investment of your time. It's an investment of your money. It's not inexpensive. And my goal is for you to find safety, stability, and strength, and not living out a life of survival. And if I'm not that expert that is the best fit for you, I want to be able to get you to who is.
Okay. Wonderful. That's great. I appreciate you coming on, and I will be in touch.
Absolutely. It was really great connecting with you, Allie. Thank you very much for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome.
If there's someone that you want to hear from on this podcast, please feel free to send me an email. Or if you would like to be a guest, please reach out at Allie@graysonschoice.org.